Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Taking Over the Photo Pit podcast. This week we are on episode 38 with Nicole Dib Photography. I am so excited again for another great interview with Nicole. I have been following her for quite some time, and I'm just so excited to have this conversation with her. Nicole has some really great photography that is bold and bright, and there's so many just like features of it that pop out to me, and she really has a unique look to her photos that when she comes up on my feed, I almost always know that it's Nicole. So I definitely wanted to reach out to her, get her little secrets, and pass them along to you guys. So this is a really fun one. I'm so honored that she wanted to join the podcast, and we're gonna jump right into it. I am so excited. I'm sitting down with Nicole today. Hi, Nicole. I
Hi.
am so stoked to have you on this episode of the podcast. I have been admiring your work for a while, and our paths have never crossed. So I'm just so excited to sit down with you and have this conversation and get to know you a little bit more. So let's just kick it off with a little bit about you, yourself, where you're located, how you got started in photography, the big question.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited about this, by the way. Yeah, like our paths never crossing has been like so crazy because I feel like you were one of like the first like female photographers that I followed, like one of the first people. So
Oh,
like I was like, oh my God, she wants me to be on her podcast. um,
I'm
so
so
I'm
honored.
I'm Nicole DiBenedetto. I am a music photographer based out of New Jersey. I originally got my start with Cherry Pit magazine, actually. I was a writer and I was really inspired by the photographers that were on the team. And my husband, I had just started dating at the time, had an extra DSLR camera. So I asked him if I could borrow it and like if his friend could teach me because his friend is a photographer as well. So asked him if he could kind of teach me how to shoot. And my editor at the time brought me to my first show in Philly. And like since then, like I just kind of rolled with it. I used to go to a lot of shows with my friends. Like we would travel a lot for stuff. And I
Mhm.
was a music major at the time. So I was always really kind of into music and like the concert scene. So that was kind of like a no-brainer for me that like that was what I wanted to take photos of.
I love that. It sounds so similar to what I say as my starting out of just like being in and going to concerts, and you're like, I want to do that. I want to do that. That sounds awesome. Do you remember what the DSLR was? Like, do you remember the model?
I do. It's in the closet. It was a Canon Rebel T3i, and the
Love it.
first show that I shot because I didn't have anything else. I shot on like a third, I think it was a 35 millimeter macro lens. Like it wasn't. And then his friend was like, here's a nifty 50. Here you go. And I was like, okay, great. So like we've definitely expanded from there.
Love that. What are you shooting on now?
I have two bodies. I have my trusty old Canon 6D and I have a Canon R6 Mark II. And then my lenses I trade out depending on what I need to be, like where I need to be shooting from. So my go-to is always the Sigma Art 24-35 f2. And then I have either my fisheye or a 70-300 that I use.
That's awesome. That sounds like a really good setup. All DSLRs, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
awesome. I've heard so much about people starting with the Canon Rebel. I just feel like that was like the camera when a lot of us got into photography. Maybe it still is the camera. I
It's
don't
still
know if,
so reliable. I feel like that Rebel series it's a reliable starter camera for sure. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I maybe I'll go back to it one day and just see how it goes.
I love how it's like in the closet, like a little trophy. You're like, it's over there. It's It's a part of me now. I love
I don't
it.
want anything to happen to it. I'm, like, sentimental, so
I I completely understand. I sold my first camera and I kind of regret it to this day. I'm like, "Why did I do that?" I got, like, maybe $100 for it. That was dumb. I love hearing about how people started out. I love that you said that, like, it was kind of a no-brainer on shooting music. Do you do other types of photography? And, like, what did you start with when it was music? Were there certain bands that you would go after? Tell us about that a little bit.
I do also do some portrait photography on the
Okay.
side, mainly for people that I know and, like, referrals and stuff, but,
Mhm.
I do that as well. For music, it kinda just started with whatever I could shoot. I very much so, like, requested bands that were my favorite bands and stuff, but anytime that an opportunity was presented and, like, because I ended up going from Cherry Pit to Soundbites after that, and, anytime that an opportunity was presented, I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it, like, why not?" Like, did not really matter the genre, didn't really matter if I knew the artist or not, I just grabbed at kinda anything that I could.
It's a great way to, like, start your portfolio and get that experience too.
So much stuff at the beginning, so much different stuff, I feel like now I do more of, like, the stuff that, like, I just kinda want to do. I definitely still cover artists that, like, I don't know every so often just to branch out, but
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like, oh, there's so much variety back then.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of that when I started out too, I was just like, "Give me anything, everything, I'm taking it all." I love that mentality, I'm trying to get back into it more and enjoy it and everything. What kind of music do you gravitate to now?
A lot more metal, I feel
Okay.
like. I think that, metal is notorious for having really tricky lighting, especially with, like, the colors and just how dark it is, and I love that challenge so
Mhm.
much, and I just love the energy of the artists on stage and the fans and just the music in general, so I feel like I've been gravitating more towards that and also more towards, like, pop artists.
Okay.
I did not shoot a lot of pop to start off with because I feel like those shows were harder to get into, and now that I kind of have the outlets to do it, I've been doing more of it and really just enjoying that energy as well. It's like 2 totally separate energies, but also so similar in a weird
Yeah.
way that, like, I love doing it.
Yeah, I feel like with the metal, you have a lot of, like, different lighting that it changes throughout that you really have to, like, navigate.
The
And
strobe.
then with pop artists, I feel like their person is changing, like, they are acting a lot more different throughout the songs, and performance-wise, and it's like, both of them, you gotta keep up with everything. It's like, "Oh my god, what am I shooting now?"
It's crazy. The level of production and in a lot of pop music too is, like, crazy to see. I love it.
Yeah,
I shot Pink recently back in it was, like, September, October, and, like, I was just, like,
that's a bucket list one for
wide-eyed,
me.
like, blown away by, like, her ricocheting down from the top of the venue and just, like, flying around and flipping. Oh my god, it was so cool.
I've seen some incredible pictures from Pink, and it's just like, "Oh, this seems like a bucket list show, like, this is incredible."
100%.
Love it. So you mentioned a few of the publications that you've worked for, and you're still currently with Soundbites, correct?
Yeah, so I
Awesome.
co-run Soundbites Media, with
That's
Laura Ort,
awesome.
so we do that. I do shoot, occasionally for New Noise Magazine.
Mhm.
I shoot directly for bands, and I'm also house photographer for a couple different venues.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit of the background of, like, how you've gotten involved in each of these and kind of, like, the mentality of like, I know that a lot of people are in and looking for the publication route, and then I know a lot of people feel like house photographer is, like, a step up from that, and it's, like, a dream of theirs. So can you talk a little bit about, like, how you got involved and what you were doing to, I guess, like, achieve and start working with some of these partners?
Sure. So for the publication aspect, when I started with Cherry Pit, that was through Tumblr actually. So I followed the
Awesome.
editor on Tumblr, like his photography stuff, and he pulled me on as the writer. And then I did, I think like one or two shows for them before the
Hmm.
publication kind of
Okay.
dissolved. And I had been actively looking for another publication after that and just not really sure how to reach out to people. And I think I reached out to Laura first. This was like 7 years ago, I think. So, believe I reached out to her first, and she was like, "I was gonna message you because I saw your stuff," and I was like, "Great!" And like she pulled me on, and like
Love
I know
that.
now with a lot of publications, they'll open up applications, so things have been a little bit different, but like it definitely doesn't hurt to always reach out to publications to see if people are interested in that, and then worst case scenario, they'll let you know like, "Hey, we have applications, we'll open them up soon and we'll let you know," kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Um, and while all that was happening, shooting for sound bites, I would always tag the venues in everything that I had posted. So being a house photographer, like the venues had reached out to me originally, to kind of ask me and just say like, "Hey, we love your photos. Would you like to come and shoot for us?" So that's kind of how I got started with that.
That's awesome. I feel like this is a topic that comes up all the time, but it's just like being on social media, tagging the right people, having those
Mhm.
conversations. And that sounds like that was, something that was really successful for you. I love your social media presence. You've been posting like reels and stuff, and I'm just like fascinated. I'm always watching, which kind of leads me to my next question because I was watching through my Instagram reels, came across one of yours that was talking about you being colorblind. And I was like fascinated by this concept because I talk about color all the time. I'm just very curious about like your journey with this.
It's so frustrating.
It
Like,
is. I
honestly, it is very frustrating in a way. I found out when I was in high school,
Oh, okay.
like very late into high school and in like the silliest way. I was in marching band and they had spray painted the field, like the practice field, because they just replaced our football field with turf and they realized that the marks were wrong. So when they used a different color to spray paint new marks into the field, instead of using white, they used orange. And we were running our drill. And my director kept telling me, he's like, "You're not hitting your spot." And I'm like, "But I am." And he goes, "No, you're not. You're supposed to be on the hash mark." And I'm like, "I am on the hash mark." And he goes, "No, you're on the old one." I'm like, "There is no other hash mark here." And he's
Oh
like,
my
"It's right there."
gosh.
Like he had to come down and show me. And I'm like, "No, I don't see it." And it's because it was orange
And
in the grass. And my dad was like, "I'm colorblind. Are you colorblind?" And I'm like, "Am I?" So we started taking the test and I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't see any of the letters, numbers, pictures in those circles for those tests." And it's
yeah.
crazy when people take them with me and they're like, "You don't see that?" And I'm like, "No, I really don't." So for photography, it's frustrating because a lot of the time, especially with like color correcting, it's so difficult to get the skin tones right for me.
Yeah.
So I use the histograms that are up at the top of Lightroom, and if you hover your mouse over, it gives you like the RGB values at the top. So
Hmm.
I'll use those and just like a second set of eyes to kind of figure out. And over the years, I developed presets to kind of help me, but like they're very silly names because I don't know what they fix. So it'll say like maybe a fix for red or pink or purple, or maybe a fix for blue or purple, maybe a fix for this. And like I just know that like I kind of have to like, oh, is this like the blue photo or the purple photo? And like I just have to kind of go through those presets that I made to kind of figure out like if I'm trying to really color correct something.
Yeah. Wow, I bet you know more about editing color and the histograms and working with like the histograms than I would say 99% of photographers, if that's like the read that you're going through.
That,
I'm
the tone curves, all that stuff. Like I definitely use all of those tools to kind of figure out, and used a lot of other photographers' presets and looking at like their tone curves and what they did to
yeah.
kind of learn how to move things around to be able to edit the way that I wanted to.
I have always loved your photography and like how bold and like bright your photos are very crisp. And one of the things that like I like shooting is like very bold. So whenever I see other people shooting like bold, bright colors, I'm just like, yes, I love this. And this is how I was drawn to your photos. So you are so talented in a way that like no one would know. It's so skilled, and your photography is beautiful. Do you have tips and advice for other people who are listening that could possibly be colorblind? Because I'm sure that like some people might be afraid that this is their barrier, like this is a wall for them. And you've obviously proven that it's not. So do you have any advice for anyone that may be colorblind?
Yeah, definitely don't be afraid to experiment with a lot of different settings in Lightroom because I feel there's really no rules to photography. Like that's what
Yeah.
it is to be a creative. Like you can do whatever you want. Like if you want to edit a certain way, like go for it because again, at the end of the day, like I it's so crazy to me to think that I am never going to see my photos the way that other people do. So you have to edit for the way that you like them. So even though you're colorblind, like, play around with those settings, ask other photographers for, those presets to look at what they've done and to look specifically at the calibration settings, the tone curves, to learn more about color theory for split toning and to learn about those things just so that when you start applying them to your photos, even though you're not seeing it the way that everyone else is, you could be like, oh, like this looks okay. Like this is kind of where I want it to look.
And I love that like it is your art at the end of the day, however you want it to look, that's how it is. I love that. I think that having people just take their photography and really like drive it forward as like this is what I want to put out there, this is my art. Love that.
Yeah, like I
Absolutely.
mentioned, I was a classically trained musician before doing photography, and I feel like that, I felt really boxed in with a lot of stuff there. So when I started photography, that was like the big thing was I said, it's mine. Like I am not going to let anybody box me in anymore for what I want to do because it made me hate being a classically trained musician feeling so like held down by so many like rules and standards that photography I was like nope, not gonna listen to that.
What instruments did you play?
So I started off with saxophone when I was a kid and
Okay.
then I taught myself clarinet in high school and I did oboe in high school as well. So when I went to college, my main instrument was oboe.
Okay. Fascinating. Because my next question was going to be like, instead of being a music photographer, why did you not like join a band?
I do also have a 9 to 5 actually. So,
Oh, you
well,
do?
well, not
Fascinating.
a well, not a 9 to 5. It's more of like a 7:50 to 3:30. I am a full-time music teacher.
I love this.
So
Okay, so you do a ton.
a lot.
I am even more honored that you are on the podcast today if you are that busy. I love this. So you teach music on top of all of this. I love you're very much well versed in the music industry world.
I teach K to 6 music, so yeah, yeah, I feel like I never really left the music side of me, but I do love that I also get to use the photography side of me for work as well, because I'll do portraits with like the older kids for the yearbook later in the year,
Oh,
and I help run like our social media for the school and everything. So it's I get to kind of like mush everything together with all my different jobs, and I love it.
I love that. I feel like a lot of the people that I talk to, just in general in life, don't know, what their career path is and what they're trying to do. They're just like, I'm just trying this, and then I'm trying this, and it really sounds like you have this great, like, I don't know, like bubble of your things that you're really passionate about, and you're doing them.
That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Love that. So jumping into one of my other questions that I had for you is I feel like this is going to be like the podcast season of me talking about Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Because I think Eras Tour, regardless of the type of music that you photograph or listen to, the Eras Tour is just so, so big. And you photographed or posted pictures of Taylor Swift, and I loved them. I believe, if I remember correctly, you had a point and shoot and you used it from the crowd. So I would love to talk about this. Like, what was your mindset going into it? Did you buy Eras Tour tickets and go in? Did you have a specific pass? Like, what was it like shooting from the crowd? Give me the whole lowdown. I want to know everything.
So I went to Philly Night 3 as press review, like just review tickets through Soundbites Media. And I was like, so like I saw a lot of people bringing point and shoots in, but for that show, like I kind of fudged it a little bit and was like, oops, forgot to like rent because I don't own a point and shoot,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
So I did have to rent one for when I went for MetLife Night 2. I ended up going as my friend's plus one for her press ticket, and the press tickets were very, very nice. Their team was so nice. They gave us floor tickets for press.
Oh
So
my
I was
gosh.
like, "Oh my God, I felt like I was getting a second chance kind of at like the universe being like, no, you need to rent this point and shoot." So I was just like, "You know what? I'm gonna rent it." So that was the first time that I ever used a point and shoot at like a show like that. And I ended up asking a bunch of people, and it seemed like the general consensus was like the Sony RX100 series.
Mm-hmm.
So I rented a Sony RX100, I think it was a Mark 7, and I just kind of tinkered around with it a little bit like the day before just to kind of get used to using it. But because every like the layout was so different, that was definitely a challenge once I got there. And like MetLife Night 2, I was like, "Okay, I've seen the show. I know what to expect." I've watched so many TikTok lives up until that point because I was like, "I have to know these secret songs. I need to know every night what she's doing." And, going into it, I was just like, "All right, let's see what happens," because I knew when she would kinda come down the catwalk also. So when she
Mm-hmm.
got to the end of that catwalk, that was when, like, I had started snapping away and just kinda seeing what I can get. That camera impressed me so much because it's just so small, but so mighty. And then bringing it into Lightroom and seeing how, like, that's edited it was almost, like, a little bit different than definitely different than
Mm-hmm.
my DSLRs. I would love Taylor's team, Taylor Nation, if you're listening, I would love a photo pass to the to another one so I could use, like, my actual gear, but it was so cool to be able to still feel like I was photographing. Definitely challenging, kind of feeling like I was stuck in that specific spot because I feel like a lot of the time, if you're in a photo pit, you can at least kind of move a little bit to the side, like back and forth. So that was like a whole new set of challenges to feel like you were stuck in one spot. But it was so cool. And I love the way that the photos turned out. And Ice Spice was there that night. So like
Yep.
that's one of my favorite photos from that night is the photo of Taylor and Ice Spice together.
I have that one open on my computer because that was the one that also like drew me in because it's such a great composition. Like you have Taylor Swift like leaning over and she has the microphone, but it's not blocking her face. And then like you have Ice Spice like interacting with her and like making such a good pose. And like the two of them together is perfect. Um, I will say, like, the photos that I've seen of Taylor as like the people that were credentialed seem very limited, and I have
Mhm.
enjoyed so much the pictures from the crowd because you could take your camera and like you said, you were limited to that space, but you were shooting the whole concert, correct?
Mhm. Yep, all 3 hours.
Yeah, so you have a lot of like variety in her outfits. You have like the variety of what and who she's performing with. I thought that your photos were absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Were you able to shoot on, doesn't that camera shoot RAW too?
It does, which I was surprised about. So I believe I was shooting raw and I was also shooting manual on that camera because you can shoot manual. So I still went the manual route and I still shot raw for those. And yeah, the variety at that show, again, 3 hours worth of shooting. It's like a dream.
Yeah.
Like all those outfit changes, all of the sets, all of the props. It was one of the most magical things that I have ever witnessed in person.
This is incredible. This Taylor was definitely on my bucket list, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to do the Eras tour this year. I tried when they were in LA, but no way. So now I'm living vicariously through everyone who did go and photograph, but like absolutely incredible photos. I love these. I love that you were able to go twice. And one of the things that you said that I just love to reiterate, because I do this as well. You kind of did your homework for the show.
Mhm.
You knew about where she was going to come, you knew about the songs and everything. I'm curious, do you do that for other shows, or were you just kind of like very like, oh my god, it's Taylor Swift, I need to know more kind
I
of thing?
I do. So as long as it's not the first night of tour, I will kind of go on YouTube sometimes for a lot of like the bigger pop shows because I know the production is usually um very consistent across shows, whereas I feel like a lot of smaller shows like they change it up a little bit sometimes with the way that they move and the way that they present themselves on stage. With those bigger pop shows, they're more consistent because everything is like timed a certain way. So I will look online and be like, okay, what can I expect? Especially like artists like 21 Pilots who have a lot going on with their live show. Like I went on and watched, people will upload like full show videos on there on YouTube. And I'll watch through like knowing like I'm shooting the first three songs. I'll watch through those first three songs at like a couple different YouTube videos of like different shows just to see like, okay, where if there's confetti going off, like when is it going off during what point in the song? If like they set the car on fire during, I think it was like the Bandito era, maybe. Like, when does that happen? When are they coming down certain points of the stage? And I feel like that also helps because then I can kind of map out when I get to the photo pit, like, okay, I need to be over there during this time and over there during this time.
That is such a huge tip that I feel like I don't do, and I definitely should, because I feel like I've been shooting more and more of these stadium shows. It's like you will often get to a stadium show and it's a small pit, a tight pit, or they'll say you get to pick one side. I have been in so many pits that they're like, you get to pick one side and you don't cross over. I don't know where that rule has come from, but I hear this all the time now that they're like, you don't pass the catwalk,
Mhm.
you're on one side or the other. If you have not done your homework, you don't know who's where. And let's say you're specifically shooting for a guitar magazine and you're on the bassist side instead of the
Mhm.
guitarist. Like you could make a really royal like fuck up from just
Mhm.
like not doing your homework and getting the wrong side. So I love that you mentioned this, because I think that it's something that, especially for these big shows, to do a little bit more. Like it's not even a, oh, I've been doing this for so long, I don't need to do my homework anymore. I
Mhm.
don't need to practice. This is like, no, you should look into this every time. So I love that. That's a great tip for everyone to just kind of like think about the band that you're shooting, try and know like what the first three are or what's going to be happening, and use that to your benefit when you're in that pit.
100%.
Speaking of like tips and advice, my last question for you today is just anything that you want to pass along to people that are listening, like a best piece of advice that was maybe told to you or something that you try and tell people. Would love to pass that along to our listeners.
Don't forget to take your lens cap off when you get into the Guilty of that one, like, all the time, not
All the
gonna lie.
time.
No, but don't so like I mentioned at the beginning, like, I feel like I really built up my portfolio by taking every opportunity, and I think that that is so important, is to just not limit yourself to a single genre or a single type of venue or anything like that, to just take any opportunity that you can, because the other thing is you never know what you're going to get into that way. Like, I've gotten into a ton of artists by doing that, and that leads me to like different types of music and different shows that I can shoot. So always just taking like the opportunity when you can, and not being afraid to do that. I know a lot of people will say that they feel like, oh, their best work is with artists that they're really familiar with, and I feel like I'm more nervous when I'm really familiar with the artist. So like, just not being afraid to branch out and also to experiment with your photos, experiment with angles, experiment with your editing, experiment with the types of artists that you're shooting. And it's okay to be uncomfortable, and it's okay to push to your limits sometimes.
I loved talking to you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It was so lovely to see you. I really wish that we were not on opposite sides of the country so we could actually be in the same pit together.
Thank you so much. One day, I'm gonna come over to California. I swear I'm gonna make it out there one day. I've not been to the West Coast yet. So I've been
Oh,
to Vegas, but like not to California.
okay.
So
Yeah.
one day, I promise, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna hit you up when I come out there.
We'll specifically go do a show together. Be like, hey,
Yes.
you guys need to approve both of us.
Yes.
We come as a
Please.
package.
We need to shoot together.
I love it so much. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Can you give a quick shout out where people can find you online?
Thank you so much. So you could find me on Instagram at Nicole Dib Photography. I'm on Twitter at Dibs on That with two T's at the end. Facebook is also Nicole Dib Photography, and I am on TikTok at Nicole Dib Photography as well. My dog also has a TikTok that I just started, so you can follow Sally the Spud as well.
Dog shout out. Love it.
That's I'm behind all that creative energy too. So
Love it. Thank you so much, Nicole. It was so lovely having you.
thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.